Tina Fey.
And I'm Amy Poehler, and you're not.
Welcome to this week's edition of Weekend Update.
Tonight's top story, last week in Beijing, in a swift departure from her otherwise strict stance on human rights violations, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was overheard saying to an aide, quote, "Those chinks can get away with whatever they want, so long as they make good on their promise to retire my millions in campaign debt," unquote.
As the Baraboo Police Department grapples with budget cuts and hiring freezes, neighborhood watch groups are stepping up and battling back against burglary, theft, and vandalism, and have decided that chickens could provide the security needed to keep our neighborhood safe. As one Baraboo resident, I'm a pecker, states, chickens are alert and boisterous creatures. Any movement and they'll go pecking and cackling. The city is looking into allowing 6 chickens per household, provided they are outfitted with the proper muzzles and studded collars.
My girls don't need muzzles.
Sorry, chickens.
Eli Lilly, the pharmaceutical company, has begun a worldwide recall on the vaccine for avian flu, after hundreds of those receiving the vaccine began sprouting feathers. If you've suddenly felt a compelling desire to fly, developed whitish, loose diarrhea, and are sprouting unsightly feathers after vaccination, please call 1-800-FLOCK-YOU. You may be eligible for compensation.
In Paris, France, the sumptuous art and furnishings collection of the late Yves Saint Laurent went up for auction. One of the largest sums collected was a painting by Henri Matisse, which sold for $45.2 million. Apparently, Cindy McCain wanted to redecorate after John decided to sell one of his houses that he didn't know he had.
In a related story, dubbed Miracle on the Wisconsin, a local pilot was forced to land his Cessna on the Wisconsin River near Prairie du Sac yesterday when his engine was clogged with the grisly remains of dozens of large, half-human, half-geese-looking birds flying in a crazy cluster flock formation and stalling out his engine. All passengers and crew were safely rescued by the Prairie du Sac Fire Department and a local fisherman named Joe, the fisherman. The pilot, Captain... the pilot, Captain Wayland Off Course, was quoted as saying, "I've never seen birds like that before in my life. I am just so grateful that Joe, the fisherman, was there to rescue all those aboard."
Now on to my little segment called Are You Sure? The price of gas is on the rise again, which is, according to George Bush, the fault of the Democrats and their liberal bailout agenda. Are you sure, Mr. Bush? Because I saw a bicycling cowboy in Baraboo, and I'm pretty sure if cowboys aren't riding a horse, they're driving their F-150s unless they can't afford gas. And are you sure history will judge this war, Mr. Bush? Because there are over 4,200 men and women who can't make any more judgments. Are you sure you don't want to take that job at the hardware store greeting customers? Because I think that would be like climbing the corporate ladder. Are you sure? And now a word from our sponsor.
When Harold and I was first married 20 years ago, he always used to like to say, "Honey, it ain't the size of the wand, but the magic that's in it." Yeah, maybe for him it was. And since then, Harold's developed another little problem our doctor calls ED. Yep, erectile dysfunction. So I guess I figured right then and there that if a girl wants a job done right, you better be doing it yourself. Well, you can imagine my surprise when last week Harold came home with this little bottle here called Surge. Well, I admit it, I was skeptical. Oh yeah, I'd heard all those ads over the years about Viagra and Cialis, and we even tried a couple of them, but it was just hogwash. And then recently I've seen those new ads about male enhancement on TV. Well, I just rolled my eyes and figured, why throw good money after bad, if you know what I mean. But woo-wee! This stuff called Surge really, really works. It does both. Why, it's like having an affair with a whole new, and I mean a whole new man. So ladies, if you want to rekindle your love life, you get yourself some of this here Surge. And put on your seatbelt, honey, and get ready for the ride of your life. Try Surge. It's the shy and teeny-weeny genie.
Surge isn't right for every man. Men with a history of hypertension should beware. Surge can cause sudden drops in blood pressure which can be fatal. In the interest of public safety, Surge is not recommended for exceptionally well-endowed men. Surge is right for you. Go ahead and make that call. You'll be both glad you did. For a free sample of Surge, call 1-800-GET-IT-DONE. 55-gallon economy size. Surge by AstraZeneca. See if it's right for you.
Wells Fargo recently canceled Freudian slip. A pricey Las Vegas casino junket for employees who, after a torrent of criticism that banks were misusing $25 million in taxpayer bailout money, a spokesperson for the bank said that recognition events are still a part of our culture, and it's really important that our team members are still valued and recognized. Well, yeah? How about trying this, bank people? Here in Baraboo, employee recognition comes in the form of $10 coffee cards from Coffee Bean Connection. Business owners here show how much they value their employees by saying, "Thank you," and "I appreciate you." That's free, Mr. Banker, free!
In regional news, a local woman, Vicky, of the Yarn Cottage, has launched a new charity called Booty Call in response to the controversial octuplets born in California last month. Knitters from across the country will knit booties and donate them to the babies. Octomom Nadia Kuhlman responded to their generous offer with this comment: "Thank you for your generosity and keep up the knitting, as I've already had 16 new embryos implanted and should be due in about 6 to 8 months."
The Al Ringling reported several elder hostel participants attended a free showing of milk last night. However, several participants declined, stating they were lactose intolerant.
In other local news, from this week's Hillsborough Gazette, the short news story reads as follows. Cars from New Mexico, Connecticut, and Georgia passed through Hillsborough this week. No explanation given.
And now, in keeping with our policy to present responsible opposing viewpoints, here with an editorial reply is Rosanna Dana.
What's all this fuss I hear about an Eagle Rights Amendment? Now, I realize that the eagle is the symbol of the United States of America, but I wouldn't like to sit next to one on a bus. I think eagles have been treated fair enough. We put them on the back of the quarter, didn't we? Well, I'm angry. Do those birds expect to vote? They don't even have fingers to pull the little levers in the booth. And they'll get their wings caught in the curtain. It'll be a mess. Between you and me, if we give eagles the rights to vote, the next thing you know, we'll have to give rights to pigeons and robins and parakeets. Chickens! Why, you won't be able to get a seat in the park. It'll be birds sitting on the benches throwing us little pieces of toast. If we're going to give birds rights, we ought to give it to parakeets. At least they can talk. Not eagles. They can't do a thing. I can't believe it.
Roseanne, please.
What?
The editorial was in favor of Equal Rights Amendment, not Eagle Rights
Who?
Equal rights for people, not eagles. repeat tonight's top story.